kicking for you like it's 9-3. You see, Rob impact the mic, keeping it real G. Talk about relationships, money, and health. Dropping knowledge while I'm spitting it, that's a wealth.
Complex conversations, we break it down. Pop culture topics, we hold it down. Dive deep into society's complexities. Educate, entertain, never rest in it. Complex
Context, where the truth unfolds. Analyzing life through stories untold. Rob impact, dropping knowledge every day.
Unpacking life's complexities, one topic at a time. You're listening to Complex Context. Here is your host, Rob Impact.
Good day to you and the Complex crew. My name is Rob Impact, and this is Complex Context. Welcome to a new episode. I'm glad that you're here with us. We are all in this together, this crazy life where things can get a little complex. Sometimes we need a little extra context to situations that we come across or just day-to-day ideals. We're here to give that to you and kind of discuss these things back and forth together, get our beliefs out there, get our preferences and discussions of what's right, what's wrong, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're about. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for being here and giving us a shot. We hope to entertain and educate a little bit at the same time. I would like to give some love to our listeners who regularly listen to us around the globe. Big shout outs going out this episode to listeners in the United States, especially from Florida and Rhode Island. You guys were going crazy since the last episode with the listenership and the numbers, and we really appreciate that. But don't get me wrong, we always enjoy everybody taking a moment, even if it's 2 minutes. We really enjoy the fact that you're checking us out. So shouts going out to everybody, but little extra icing on the cake for those in Florida and Rhode Island. I had a particular topic that I was going to discuss this week, and I decided to pivot because there's something that I think a lot of folks, especially in the United States, from which this show comes from, Massachusetts specifically, but a lot of folks in the United States, and I know that there are other countries around the world that enjoy, if you will, the luxury of streaming services, and there was another price hike that had me going, we need to talk about this on the show today. So that's what we're doing. The hangover from subscription streaming services is real. And let's get into that. Why am I pivoting to this for this episode? Wouldn't you know it? There's another subscription service looking to raise the rates, and it of course affects me and my family. The Walt Disney Company announced that they are raising prices for their Disney Plus streaming service, as well as Hulu and Hulu with live TV. And wouldn't you know it, what does my family have? What do we have in the household? We have Hulu with live TV as part of the Disney Plus package. So, of course, we're affected. And I anticipate many other folks will be as well for the package that we have, which does contain ads. I'm looking at about a $6 per month price increase. Now, one might say, well, $6 by itself isn't much, but of course, that again is per month. So times 12 months, we're looking at $72 extra, assuming that that price hike does maintain its rate for a calendar year from the time it goes into effect. That's not considering any additional price hikes or any prior ones that have already come into play. And this is really just a symbol of the overall oversaturation and, I guess, fad of subscription streaming services really rearing its ugly head into cable 2.0. The whole point and the whole excitement behind streaming services was it was supposed to give the consumer an alternative option to cable television, especially the big corporate cable entities which charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for a package of channels in which you might watch a quarter of them, if that. And the whole intent with people getting excited about streaming and the development of it was we were going more towards an a la carte type of method with what you can pay for and what you can watch. And that was always one big contention with cable companies that customers had and still do, is you usually are forced to get some type of over-bloated package of channels that you don't want. Really, most people enjoy, if I had to guess, in not looking at specific data in front of me, I would say there's probably a good 5 channels that most people enjoy. So when you have to pay for a package of channels or content that you really have no interest for, of course streaming looks attractive because you're getting that almost a la carte service you're looking for that cable companies were not offering. So you had the premise of, okay, you're going to have different content owners create or partner with other content owners to create a streaming service and offer it to customers, so that way it is a more streamlined option for a person or a family to watch only what they're interested in. Seemed like a great concept, and initially when it was rolling out, I really feel like it was a good idea. It was affordable. It was nice to know that you could go directly to things that you knew you were paying for and didn't have any regrets about it. But as time has gone on, and in very short order, as most of us can tell, that all went out the window with the continued talks of differing media companies looking to merge, differing contracts or strikes with actors and unions, contributing towards price hike necessities, quote unquote. It just has turned into this big ugly monster that has really created a sense of chaos. And the attractiveness of the whole streaming concept is slowly going down the toilet. I don't want to, and I say this as somebody that likes to keep up with media and business news related to media, business news in general, but I try and be a very media-centric person. And the overall sentiment that seems to be coming from customers who participate in, let's say, 2 or more streaming services is that this is getting out of control. It is getting to the point where the price hikes, when you have multiple streaming services who all continue to raise their prices, you're getting towards the sum of a cable-centric platform of pricing and packages when you're considering all of the different options out there and the inflated costs across the board. Essentially, the savings that one might have seen or was advertised for going towards streaming services versus the continued retention of cable is dwindling. That gap of savings is getting more and more narrow, which essentially is going to drive some people, I guarantee you, back towards cable. So what's the solution here? What is the solution in terms of, as a consumer, what do? Do you decrease the number of subscription services you have? Or do you just make a bigger budget if you have more disposable income? Which, last I checked, as far as the United States goes, there's not many people that have room for disposable income due to inflation and job loss and all that. I know we're very good in this country. I say we, not the general people, but there's a few people that follow politics. There is this really nice song and dance going on about how we're not in a recession and inflation isn't that bad and all that. Inflation is, we'll get on that in another show. I don't want to get too far off the rails here, but people are still pinching their pennies, rightly so. Groceries, gas, general cost of living, rent prices, especially in Massachusetts, are unbelievable. There are some rents around for 2 bedrooms. I mean, you could be paying $2,500, $2,800 a month. That's more than a damn mortgage payment in some instances. So when you have people trying to survive and pay their bills, streaming services are supposed to complement the budget crunch that people are always married to. That was the whole concept. I can get away from cable. I can reduce my expenses on the entertainment front and really focus in on what is particularly entertaining and interesting to our household. And now with continued price increases across the board, essentially, as time has gone on, especially over the past, say, year and a half or so, it really, again, with the narrowed gap, you're ending up at a point where you're back to square one. You're saying, what do I do? Do I spend more money? Do I get towards the budget I had with cable? Or do I just really scale back on the household entertainment for this medium? It's really disgusting. It really absolutely is. In this United States of business, you just can't leave good enough alone. It's always, let's mess with something. It's always about the bottom line. And listen, I know there's much more significant issues in terms of expenses that we have to be cognizant about and budget appropriately for, but you cannot tell me that there is not coming out of this a great stink for all of the media companies involved in streaming, where they say, we're going to offer you this and we're going to offer you that. And essentially, when you put all of them together, they're ultimately charging the same amount per each a la carte option when you put them together as they would charge cable companies who pass on additional fees to you. And they're you know, to use a cliche, they're all in bed together. It ends up working out to be the same anyways. The consumer gets screwed in the long run, and that's really a shame. So what other examples, beside from the current increase from Disney Plus and Hulu with live TVs, as I said, right, mine is going to go up $6 a month, which I'm not happy about. But depending on the tier, you could be looking at a $2 a month increase, $6, another $6, $1. Yeah, it really depends from what I'm seeing here, what tier you have and what package of services, whether you have the ESPN Plus, Hulu alone, Hulu Plus, live TV, all that. So, and just think about what I'm saying here, right? I wanted ESPN Plus because I enjoy watching UFC, and that's where the rights are. So I said, okay, I'll get ESPN Plus. But we already had Hulu Plus for our daughter. But Hulu Plus does offer a Disney Plus and ESPN Plus package. So, you know, I'm looking at, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different tiers between Disney Plus with or without ads, Hulu with ads or without ads, Hulu and live TV with or without ads, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus with ads, without ads. What should be an a la carte service has turned into this over complex menu. This is similar to me going to a restaurant and saying, I would like a good, say, meat and pasta combination, and getting a menu and having it look like there's 30 different options to pick from. At that point, I'm going, you know what? I don't want any of them. I don't want that kind of decision. I just want to go somewhere and have them go, hey, we do these 6 things really well. You know, chicken and rice, steak and potatoes, I don't know, beef and green beans, things like that. I would like 6 really solid options, not 30 choices on a menu. And the same thing is happening here with streaming services. 11 tiers. Listen, I know choice is nice to have, but enough is enough. You know, that's not, there's a difference between having choice and causing indecisiveness. And having tiers like that combined with increased price rates per each tier just makes it for more effort than what anybody should have to put forward for a streaming service. I want to thank our friends at TheVerge.com, who I would like to quote an article that was updated on August 7th, 2024 regarding streaming service price increases and give you an idea of some of the increases that have happened over the recent memory, okay? From October 25th, 2023, headline, Apple TV Plus is getting a price hike and other Apple subscriptions are too. Apple TV Plus is going from $6.99 per month to $9.99 per month. Apple News Plus is increasing from $9.99 per month to $12.99 per month. I don't want to get too much out of the streaming game. October 18th, 2023, here comes another Netflix price hike. For the basic plan, users were paying $9.99 per month. They will now have to pay $11.99 per month. And those paying $19.99 per month for premium will have to pay $22.99. Netflix's $6.99 ad-supported plan and $15.49 standard tier will stay the same price. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Again, that's a great example of how many tiered options do you need? The answer, not that many. October 3rd, 2023, the ad-free version of Discovery Plus is getting a price hike. Cost is going from $6.99 per month to $8.99 per month plus taxes. You go a little further back, September 29th, 2023, AMC Plus is getting an ad-supported subscription tier. The plan will cost $4.99 per month and provide users access to the same content library as the $8.99 ad-free version. Unnecessary tiers. So, yeah, I'm just saying this is just too much. Here's some of what's out there and is part of the oversaturation and the streaming hangover. There's Netflix, there's Disney Plus, there's Hulu, there's ESPN Plus, there's the Hulu Plus Live TV, there's Amazon Prime Video, there's MGM Plus, there's Max, there's Discovery Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Stars, which I guess is Lionsgate Plus, depending on where you're streaming from. There is Fubo. There's Sling TV, DirecTV Stream, Philo, or Philo, depending on, I guess, where you come from and how you would like to pronounce that. Friendly TV. I'm a UFC guy. There's UFC subscription service. There is so much when you get down to it, right? Some things, especially some of the smaller companies who are either independent or have very curated content for a specific audience, I understand that. But this is out of control, and it's just price hike, price hike, price hike. What do we do, guys? What do we do? Do we budget more? Do we bite the bullet? Or do we have to say, which is what I'm leaning towards, and I would like to see a lot of folks lean towards this, is kind of say, hey, enough is enough. We went through the ridiculous price hikes with cable, and they've maintained. The whole point of streaming was to get away from that. It's ultimately replicating the same process. Just, it's coming, guys. Just wait. Just look at the price hikes over the past, say, 2 years, and it'll be easy to see we're ultimately getting towards cable 2.0 in terms of pricing. So I'm leaning towards the side of maybe we should look at really just very few streaming options and say we have to be okay with missing out on some content. And that might not be a popular decision, but it's not about that. It's about surviving and knowing that your money is going towards more of the necessities and the things that you like. I don't watch that much TV as it is. I think a lot of what we have might be for our daughter's sake, and even she at times is just like, I have no interest in watching anything right now. So I think as a country in the, for us in the United States who are experiencing this, and I would love to hear from our listeners globally as far as what you're exposed to, your pricing structure, and how many times you've seen hikes in your subscription services. Let us know. Contact us. We have that information coming up later in the show on how to do that. But we really need to, much like we said, no, we're not paying for cable and trying to get a sports package to get a movie channel because we're only interested in the movie channel. That really drove a lot of people away. And streaming is going to do the same thing. Not because it's not a la carte, but the pricing is just not worth it. Why maintain that? Why not just go back to what you had if it's going to ultimately cost the same? It's unbelievable. So what do we do, guys? Contact us. Like I said, information is coming up shortly to do that. The streaming hangover is real. There's way too much. There's too many media platforms trying to improve the bottom line based off of the consumer's dollar, as is the case with so much in the United States of business. But this has been an accelerated cost increase, and one that I don't see any end in sight towards unless we all together kind of put our foot down and say, we'll maybe limit it to 2 or 3 services in the household, and that's it. Because that, again, the whole point was not to pay cable prices. And knowing that I'm going to experience an increase, I know many others who have the aforementioned services who have had increases or will be affected by this latest one with Hulu and Disney Plus. We're in this together. So what do we do about the subscription service streaming hangover and the price hikes that are just taking what they want out of our wallet? Contact us. Let us know. This is some real deal stuff. I'm interested in hearing your opinion. Speaking of ridiculousness, it's time that we go from the ridiculous scenario that we talked about to some ridiculous life advice.
Ridiculous life advice.
When comparing socks to playing poker, 3 of a kind doesn't always beat 2 pair.
Ridiculous life advice.
I want to thank my wife for being patient with me the other night because I had a heck of a dream. I believe it's not really a nightmare, but it was definitely a bad dream. And for some reason, I remember being on a game show set, and somebody was interrupting me when I had a turn playing some type of game. And I remember in the dream just kind of going off, flipping my lid and going, oh my goodness, why don't you let people have a turn? It's not fair. This is my time. Don't interrupt me. And I remember yelling in the dream, and all of a sudden I got woken up. And the first part of me waking up was my wife going, hey hun, you're yelling. And as she was waking me up and I kind of had that first bit of consciousness, I could hear myself yelling. I went, oh, geesh. Oh, I'm sorry. And it was really weird. I haven't had an experience like that in quite some time. So coming out of that, I initially was trying to go back to sleep, but for some reason, let's say about 2 minutes, 3 minutes after that, when she was starting to fall back asleep, I became very anxious. And I don't know if it was the shock of having been woken up or if it was really the particular moment of being woken up. I have no idea. All I know is about 2 to 3 minutes afterwards, I was getting very anxious. My anxiety was starting to creep up. And I was like, oh man, I've been so good. It has not really been anything that has tried to say, hey, here I am. Don't forget about me. Give me some love and attention. Because as I've mentioned in prior episodes, having to revisit that 20 years after it was a problem has been quite humbling. And I'm really blessed to be at a good point in life and continue to be aware of myself and how I carry my day-to-day out and try and manage that. But it was just awful. I felt very weird and mentally had to rely upon, thankfully, some of the tools that I've been learning and been able to apply over the past few months, and that helped. But one of our dogs, of the two that we have, usually stays at the end of the bed with us. The other one, she's in her crate. Don't ask. One is very good about it. The other one never was. That's really just how it is. So it's not preferential treatment, I promise you. We would love to put both in, but the other one would not allow us to sleep if we did that. So when I started to feel anxious, I called up the dog to me to say, all right, don't be at the bottom. I kind of need you right now. And she came up and probably could tell how I was feeling, because dogs are fantastic with being able to read the room, so to speak, get the vibe of who they're around and what's going on. So when I called the dog up, thankfully she laid back down but was laying right between my wife and I. And she's a relatively medium-sized, small to medium-sized dog. It's a Dachshund Chihuahua mix. And she was just like, okay, I'm going to be here. And being able to not only just let my wife know, hey, I'm kind of feeling off here, and she was very reassuring and supportive, but have the dog kind of come up and just say, hey, here I am, do what you need to, pet me, love me, I'll do the same back. It was really such an awesome experience to know that I was able to eventually calm myself enough to kind of sleep. I never really got back to sleep in terms of a good quality sleep. Yes, I did shut my eyes and go to sleep, but it was nothing like what a regular night would be. But having our dog be able to be as supportive as my wife in obviously a very different manner and help me get back to my normal level of just kind of conducting and composing myself, that meant the world to me. I suppose out of this, the reason for me bringing this up is never undervalue or underestimate the importance of your animals, because they are family. And knowing that both my dog and my wife had, again, very different but equally as important ways of supporting me during a moment where I wasn't sure I was going to feel stable in my composure as I should be, it was an incredibly humbling experience to know and really have that experience firsthand, that animals indeed can be just as important as people. Not that I didn't have a clue about that, but I never had that personal experience before. And knowing that you had a person who you care deeply about be supportive in one aspect and have an animal be supportive in another aspect, it really just spoke to me and made me feel just so incredible to know that my family, both in people and in animals, they're just amazing. So folks, anybody who has a pet, make sure that your relationship with them is one that benefits both of you. Don't just get an animal just to get it and say, hey, like, this is what I have. Animals really are in tune with people, not just dogs. There are other animals who are very, very in tune to people. But in my particular situation, my dog was able to come up from the end of the bed and complement the support that my wife had already provided. And it just made for a very loving and relief-filled experience. So, folks, with your animals, make sure that you have that connection. Make sure that you give them time and love and treat them no differently than anybody else in your family. And they will really give you the love that you need. You can always get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you. And there are multiple ways for Complex Context to be on somebody's earbuds. So let's make that happen. You can find us on social media. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/complexcontext1. We're also on X, the former Twitter. Our username is @ComplexContext1. And if you would like to send us an email, maybe something a little more detailed than you would social media, feel free to do that. You can send your feedback, show suggestions, comments, anything like that. Our email is complexcontextshow@yahoo.com. And don't forget to check us out on our official website, thanks to our streaming partner, Podbean. Hi, Podbean. We are at complexcontext.podbean, PODBEAN.com. We are on over 11 different streaming services, which includes YouTube. So if you would like to have our logo and episode title on your computer or on your phone while listening, you can find us on YouTube as well. But all the biggies, iHeart, Spotify, Apple, you name it, we're on it. Make sure you leave a review. Please leave a comment. We would appreciate that greatly. My name is Rob Impact. Let's wrap things up so we can enjoy this next week together. Do what you do it often, do it well. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do and you'll be doing all right. I'll catch up with you.
Visit the show's website at complexcontext.podbean.com. Complex Context is a Mass Ed Media production.